بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear and respected viewers, welcome back, and today we will be concluding our mini-series on the soul of tarbiyah, the 5 points that we have elaborated. Once again, to recap, there's al-mahabba wal-ma'rifa, the love and recognition of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Then there's at-tashakhus wal-abdiyah, the identity of a Muslim, identifying ourselves as Muslims, as part of the Ummah, being a Muslim. And then there is al-azama wal-hurma, having the regard and reverence for Islam and the symbols of Islam, and those things that represent Islam in our lives. And then the fourth is al-ittiba' wal-ita'a, making Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam the imam of our lives, our role model, the one whose footsteps we follow in everything we do. And then the fifth is al-ihtisab wal-aqiba, accountability and consequences, responsibility for our actions and our words. And we've already covered 2 parts of this, which included introducing akhirah, reward and punishment, jannah, etc. to our children, and taqwa, that Allah is watching us, Allah is with us, and to save ourselves from what is wrong, protect ourselves, and that they're the scribes, the angels that are writing. And then we have an enemy, shaitan, that we have to seek Allah's refuge from. And then how do our children become law-abiding citizens, global, progressive Muslims who actually are involved in legislation and making law by abiding law, and respecting law and law enforcement. And then how do they become stewards of Allah, representatives of Allah, khilafah, how do they understand social responsibility. So this is what we've covered. And today what we will be doing in order to wrap this up is the last part of al-ihtisab al-aqiba, which is bringing peace and justice in the world. Peace and justice. This is one of the basic purposes, maqasid of Sharia and the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that there is peace and there is justice in the land, in the world. And that is what the Khalifa of Allah is supposed to do, bring peace and justice to this world. So how do we bring our children to even fathom such a massive undertaking? Well, of course, just like everything, it's baby steps, it's the little things, and as we're raising them, we raise them as conscious and conscientious Muslims. And from the beginning, from their Montessori environment, from their preschool environment, at home, in school, what we do is we reinforce and we instill these values in them, from our culture, from our environment, and they accept it because we role model it ourselves, and then we have them perform it as well. So peace and justice. When does peace get violated? When is there a call for justice? When there is a conflict. Conflicts need to be resolved. We do a very poor job in conflict resolution. We don't learn conflict resolution. Our schools don't teach conflict resolution. Our society does not know how to instill conflict resolution. There's no model for conflict resolution. Whereas our deen brought conflict resolution, the most conflicted people on earth, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam resolved their conflicts with the deen that he brought. The Mu'akhat-e-Madina is not just a happenstance in history. It's one of the most defining moments of history. We don't understand that, do we? The West understands that. They have adopted a lot of things from that. So we don't know our heritage. We don't know how important conflict resolution is in Islam. And if we were not told by Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, then where would society and where would humanity be? So it is Allah Azza wa Jal who's telling us, وَالصُّلْحُ خَيْرٌ, that the best thing is resolution, to resolve your differences and issues, to patch up, to come together, to come to an understanding. So, negotiating and mediating solutions and resolutions, resolving conflicts, this is what Muslims should be doing in this world. But do you hear of Muslims doing this? No. Muslims don't take a role in this. We didn't learn to do it. Every person living in our society should carry this load. And what I see, is quite the opposite, where we actually have agents, we actually have people, men and women, who are actively, exacerbating the situation, actively causing more damage, actively causing more hostility. They're egging people to go forward and fight and duke it out and hurt the other side, take revenge, for example. This happens. They will call upon the male ego and the male honor to go and kill the other person in retaliation. You hear about this all the time. When there's an accident, a car accident on the road, you'll see people coming to punches and blows and screaming and shouting at each other. When they come out of the car, their first reaction is, how do I dominate this other person and make sure that I can get him to submit to my point of view. There's no intention to actually resolve this. Hey, wait a second. Okay, my fault, my bad. I wasn't looking, etc. It's all on me. The other says, yeah, okay, well, if you're apologizing, then okay, that's all right. Just be careful next time, and they move along. That doesn't happen. For a material object, we're even ready to take someone's life. So when human life and human blood, when the Muslim's blood is not sacred to the Muslim, how do you think it would be sacred to the non-Muslim? So we have to model this. Conflict resolution needs to be taught, needs to be modeled, not taught by words, modeled in our environments, in our schools, in our homes. Our children should learn how conflicts are resolved, how mediation takes place, how you sit and talk about things, how you resolve things through talks, through mutual understanding, through compromises. How do you give and take? How do you stand for your values? What you can compromise and what you cannot compromise. And how do you come to an agreement with the other party? Even your mortal enemy. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us that. He showed us this. How did he deal in Hudaybiyah? How did he deal with Fatah Makkah? How did he deal with the Ansar in Aqaba? And then once he went to Medina, how did he deal with them then? And then when they went to Badr and he knows that now I'm outside of Medina, it is not due upon them to protect me. And they said, Ya Rasulullah, in other words, what are you talking about? Our lives are for you. You tell us to jump off a cliff, we will jump off a cliff. You tell us to jump into the ocean, we'll jump into the ocean. Our lives are for you, our wealth is for you, everything is for you. We were new Muslims back then. We did not understand who you are. Now we love you more than our parents and our own selves and everything that we possess and the whole universe. The question does not arise whether we will support you or not. So this is how he earned everyone. He made everyone his own. So this is something that we need to teach our children, how to resolve conflicts. And it starts off in Montessori, in preschool, at home, that when someone takes a toy which you wanted to play with, or someone grabs a French fry from your lunch, or whatever it is, a slice of apple from your lunch, how do you resolve that conflict now? And that's what children need to learn. And this is what we need to model, and we need to have them resolve conflicts from this point. And then we will see how much society changes. We cannot expect them to be able to resolve conflicts when they are 40 years old, when they were not resolving conflicts when they were 4 years old. What comes next is, and part of conflict resolution is apologizing and forgiving, or accepting apology. So it's apologizing and accepting apology. Our children need to learn how to apologize. They need to learn how to accept the other person's apology. And children do a lot better job of that than adults, actually. So it's closer to nature. So that's why it's closer to fitra. So they accept apology and they forgive a lot easier than adults do. But apologizing is sometimes difficult for them. They don't know the words. They don't know what they're apologizing for. Just telling them, apologize, say sorry, that doesn't work. Because what's the response? What for? Why should I apologize? He's the one who did that. So just forcing them to say sorry is not going to do it. They should internalize, what did they do wrong? What did they do first of all? What did they do wrong is next. What did I do? Sometimes they don't even know what I did. What am I being charged for? What's the charge sheet? What's the issue? What did I do? Well, this is what I did. This was wrong because, why was this wrong? And I'm sorry because I did this. It was wrong because of this. And from now on, this is what I will do or what I will not do. How will I make it up to you in the future? How will I behave? Etc. This is a process of apology that the child internalizes. And similarly, the other child has to forgive. And like I said, with children, it's really not an issue. They're very ready to forgive. The third thing in peace and justice is understanding emotions and self-control. So managing your own emotions. Children need to learn how to manage their own emotions. This is not easy. And what I'm seeing in society all over the world, in the West, in the East, everywhere, I mean, when I say East, I just mean, you know what I mean. So in Western culture, in traditional culture, in Muslim culture, we don't have emotional management. We don't know how to manage our emotions. And sometimes that leads to a lot of mental illnesses, a lot of problems, because we did not learn how to manage our emotions. We might get upset easily. We might get angry easy. We might get jealous. Whatever the things are, how do children learn to manage their emotions? You can't expect them to do it from the word get-go. But you need to inculcate that. So sometimes you have to ask the right questions. What happened? Saying, why are you crying doesn't help. You have to, because they don't know why they're crying. Sometimes you have to give them the options. Did someone hurt you? So they'll say no, and they'll be crying and say, no. Did someone take something away that you were using? No. Are you hungry? No. And then you come down to, are you missing your mother? And then they start shaking their head. So they did not even know why they suddenly burst out crying. And then when you hit the nail on the head, suddenly you see the agreement. Yes, that's the reason. Oh, that's okay. I'm just like your mother as well. And that's where she can handle that, and the child can learn to understand his or her own emotions. Why am I crying? Now just asking, stop it. Why are you crying? They don't have an answer. They're too little. And then self-control. You can't expect them and stop crying. That is the most unreasonable thing to say to a child. Stop laughing, stop crying, stop speaking, stop running. They don't know how to suddenly hit the brakes. Let's not expect unreasonable things from children. Help them develop self-control. So if they're suddenly laughing out loud, oh, that was really funny. And then you can have, but let's keep our voices down. Okay, next time something funny happens, we're gonna learn how to laugh, but laugh in a softer way. So this is how you help them control themselves. Just lecturing them or just pointing them out and expecting them to suddenly or intimidating them into it, which is the worst thing, is not going to do it. So what does that have to do with peace and justice? Well, when a person understands their own emotions and is able to self-regulate their emotions, they're at peace with themselves and they're at peace with their environment. A lot of things don't matter. A lot of little things they let go. They're able to forgive. They're able to have a bigger heart. Then there's a lot more tolerance. There's a lot more room for everyone to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So this is why developing these senses in our children from a preschool age and onwards. It doesn't stop at preschool. It starts at preschool and continues throughout your life. So this is for all ages. I keep emphasizing preschool, but the reason is because that's where we start. That's not where we stop. And with every child of every age, you have to do it accordingly. Teenagers will need a lot of this. Another stage comes because new emotions and new hormones and new energies are suddenly found. So new relations are being made and new relations are being broken. So it's tough on them. Help them. They think of them again as that preschooler. What is hurting them? What is isolating them? Talk to them that way. Help them come to peace. Help them come to justice. And help them become not only those who are able to resolve their own conflicts, internal conflicts, but also external conflicts. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to raise our children so they become those who become conflict resolvers and bringers of peace and justice throughout the world. May Allah make them the keys to the khair and the locks to the shar. Jazakumullah khair.